Homelessness 2.0 day 86. Just took a shower. This was clean from yesterday, so and normally I'll just wear this, and then if I need to take a shower on that day, I'll shower after the fact. I kind of don't even want to keep wearing this damn thing because, I mean, it's not exactly warm outside, but it's 62 Fahrenheit. And like I just turned off the heater, both of them, and I don't even really want to. I don't even really want to use, do this whole soup situation just because I'm so hot from the shower and everything. It's whatever. So, in the next hour or two, I need to head out to storage, possibly even to the, probably a good idea too to go to the, oh shit, I forgot about the butter. Go to the mailbox, that's what I was thinking. If I go to storage, I should be able to get a decent chunk of stuff that I need, take care of, and then tomorrow I can go to the store. Ow, hot. I mean, duh, but ow, hot. Anyway, so the plan is storage, possibly. Well, like I said, pretty good likelihood that I need to go to the mailbox as well. The store will be tomorrow. I got hot sauce. Yeah, so that's what's happening pretty much today. Because of the stuff that I've got at the storage, since I've got the next month coming up here, and it's cheaper than it was last 2 months, so not counting this month, of course, because this month was cheaper than the previous. And as long as stupid things don't get in the damn way again, like being sick, and as long as I pass my driving test, I'll have that ID at minimum, and I should hopefully be able to find some sort of cheap car, drive around, maybe get some job stuff. I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? Like, the worst part about being a transplant to LA is not knowing the area really. And I mean, I've lived here for 10 years, and I still don't really know the area. It's not like I grew up here, and so some wisdom. Don't do what I did. Don't come here, end up being fucking homeless, and then after being done with being homelessness, don't just do nothing with regards to your transportation needs and stuff. Adapt to the city. The city needs a fucking car. If you grew up here, that's a little different. Because your family probably has the car, and while you may not have a car and you may not want to have a car, you were at least exposed to the region from the get-go, from your youth. Like, I still know how to get around my hometown, and I haven't been there in over 10 years. Like, I mean, granted, I lived there most of my life, but like some of the stuff, like there's some parts of it that I don't remember because I was really young. But like, I can still remember how, like, I'm talking like basic turns and stuff, because like I would know when we were going to my grandmother's house because there was a specific path to get to my grandmother's house. And even if we didn't take the exact same path, if we did it at least twice, I pretty much knew because I knew the area well enough. I was exposed to the area because We would drive in that, on those main thoroughfares on a regular enough basis. And so that's the advantage of somebody who's native here. And I gotta admit, I wish I knew this sooner. I wish I knew this earlier. But you should try your best, I would say, to learn the area as quickly as possible so that you can effectively be, and I don't mean this in a literal sense, but effectively be competitive with the native population. At least in regard to transplanting to a new city. I ain't talking about colonizing and shit, and I know a lot of people, they kind of approach people who are from other towns moving into your town kind of like that. And I get it, but at the same time, it ain't the same. It's not the same as, England coming over here and fucking killing people and shit and taking over the land. It's not the same. Most of the time, it's because people know about it and want to be a part of it. I did it because I didn't feel like I had a choice. I was like, hey, I'm, not doing well. I blew all my money traveling. And to top it off, God, I'm so fucking hot right now. I mean, yeah, it's my fault that I'm here. It's my fault that all this stupid shit happened in the process. It's not my fault that my job decided, was the contract that I had with the contract that my employer had with the building that I was working at, a security guard, dissolved. Sure, I could have stayed. I could have. I didn't want to. Well, I kind of wanted to, but at the same time, it felt like I was being pushed out. It feels like that now too. But I have other shit I gotta take care of. I gotta finish this stupid AA or something. I gotta have something under my belt. I'm fucking 40. And it's not about, when people say you gotta do it on your own time, you can't compete with everybody else. First of all, that's horseshit. Like, yeah, you're competing with yourself. I get that. But you're also competing against others. If you don't think that other people don't exist, then you're living in a solipsistic, almost narcissistic world. You have to consider that other people exist. You have to consider that there are other people who will take jobs. They will take opportunities that you might have. If you don't consider those things, then you're just naive. So, you gotta do what you gotta do for you. It's not to say that you have to fucking screw over as many people as possible in the process. You don't have to do that. I'm gonna go ahead and sit in this chair and see what it's like. Okay. Seems to be functional here. That's good. It's like me paying to, get driving lessons, and then also pay the registration for the driver's license. I'm doing them despite. Well, no, over here because it'll be easier to see. I think I'm doing them despite the fact that it is essentially against what my desires are. Because if I don't, then I'm just going to stagnate and nothing will happen. And while I am one who likes to do nothing, nothing does not achieve anything. It does not achieve goals, it does not achieve money. And I don't mean money in the sense of, excess crazy wealth or anything of that nature. Just enough. I mean, it did while I was unemployed. But then, the pandemic stuff went away. And I mean, that was $300 a week. That's nothing. Most places out here won't even let you rent to them with that kind of income. That's $1,200 a month. Most places are A, more than that, but B, they require you to be making 3 times your rent. So, if you're not making $3,600 a month, you can't even afford a $1,200 a month place. Hell, even a place that's $800 a month, you still have to make $2,400 a month, which is twice that. By the way, that number isn't just random. That $300 wasn't just random. It's the minimum wage times 40. That's how they got $300 a week. Federal minimum wage. But then when you live in a place like California, where the federal minimum wage is too little, so you have to go by the state and or city minimum wage. State, I believe, is like $10 or $11 an hour. Which, I mean, let's face it, isn't enough in most places in California. Not where the majority of the population is, anyway. And even in LA, it's like 15 now, I think. It's not enough. Because, I mean, $15, and that's if you work 40 hours a week. Like what? Most places aren't paying minimum wage and giving you 40 hours a week. It's not happening. Sure, there's some places that are, but majority aren't. A place that pays minimum wage isn't going to give you maximum hours. How would they? I mean, it would still be barely enough. It would only be $600 a week. That's if you worked 40 hours. you'd just be able to pay for that $800 a month apartment. And I mean, yeah, sure, $2,400 a month isn't bad, but it's not great. To make matters worse, after I boiled the water, dumped it in here, I then used lukewarm tap water to lower the temperature, and it's still pretty hot. So I'm just cooking myself right now, right after having taken a shower. I mean, again, it's like, what's the point in living? I mean, why would I work somewhere where it costs more to work there? When it's too expensive to work for your employer, don't do it. Fill out that resume, send in send it to wherever you can send it to, and try to get a better paying job, because it's too expensive to work for your current employer. And then people bitch and moan about people who want to get rid of student loan debt. Well, newsflash, when you go into student loan debt, and then even if you do get a high-paying job, which, I mean, let's face it, if an education is the same cost, okay, so we have this weird, like, holier than thou way of approaching things in this country. It's like, well, why would you get why are you getting a fucking job in gender studies or underwater basket weaving or in the arts or whatever if you can't make any money in those fields? It's like, well, how else are you going to get an education for them? But more than anything, why are you shitting on them? You know, especially the arts. Like, why would anybody shit on the arts? Because I'm pretty sure everybody has a favorite TV show. Everybody has a favorite movie. They've probably seen a movie that they like in recent times. There's a bunch of people who worked on those films. Many of them went to school so they could do that stuff. Why are you shitting on them? Why don't they get paid? Huh? Why is it that artists don't get to be fucking paid? And then, if that's the nature of the industry, why is it that the classes that are necessary to get the degree, the same fucking price? Why are they the same price as the IT degree or whatever? You know, why is it that the good paying jobs and the classes associated with them are the same fucking price? Because they charge by credit. And I don't mean like credit card credit or whatever, or credit score. I'm talking about the number, credit hours. So a class is 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, sometimes 6 credit hours. So it's all the same rate. Now, sure, getting a medical degree is the same because you went and got more, but you were charged the same rate. So why is it that we're charging the same rate? Look, the problem with student loan debt is that the entire system from top to bottom is fucked now. Like, going back to wages haven't increased for shit. Minimum wage, federal minimum wage hasn't gone up for shit. federal minimum wage needs to go up to higher than any regional minimum wage right now. That's what it needs. It needs to be higher than everyone's. Because it needs to break the system. It needs to force them to recognize that, hey, the people ain't getting paid because cost of living, cost of education, thus cost of getting job is too fucking expensive. It's like we're trying to force serfdom again. Basically, you're owned by the people that you work for. Because in a lot of ways, that's how it is. When the threat of losing your job is basically the threat of losing your life, you are effectively owned by your employer. It may not be the same exact legal scenario, but it's very effectively similar. So, and serfdom is different than slavery, but there's also a lot of similarities to it as well. It's not unreasonable. Like, if you're not going to raise the minimum wage, get rid of fucking student loan debt. If you're not going to get rid of student loan debt, raise the minimum wage. But ideally, get rid of student loan debt and raise the minimum wage. Because the student loan industry and the collegiate industry have been fucking exploiting the shit out of people for decades now. You know, when you could have a minimum wage job and go to college and raise a family and buy a fucking house, why can't we still do that? Why is it that college tuition has increased so much more than inflation has? And right now, inflation's a big fucking deal. Somehow, interestingly enough, the average people are agreeing that inflation is bad, but not a college education being overpriced. I don't get it. Oh, go into the trades. Sure. That really works. First of all, do you know handfuls of people who have been able to go and grab a journeymanship? I don't know a goddamn one. And I live in a highly populated region where a lot of trades exist. I mean, there's a lot of electricians out here. There's a lot of HVAC techs. But as far as I'm understanding, there are no journeymanships out here. There's no apprenticeships. Those don't exist. As far as I understand, they don't really exist. I mean, of course, there will be one or two or maybe even 1,000 across the country. Who knows? But I'm talking about in a general, everyday, this is very common, so much so that the average person would know type. Since the average person doesn't know, and I'm not claiming that I'm the average person, but based on information, communication that I've had, whatnot, they pretty much don't exist. So, what exactly do you do to get into trade? You go to trade school. What does trade school do? They basically act like college. while I haven't been to a trade school, and I don't know their overall payment schedule, it may be cheaper, but it's not the fucking same as going and getting an apprenticeship and getting paid for it. So, join the trades just means go pay for the cheaper option. Instead of fucking 20 years ago, well, 30 now, because the 90s were 30 fucking years ago. I mean, shit. 9/11 is almost 21 years old. In the 90s, and I've mentioned it before with my own, if you will, success, you could go get a job and then they would train you. And during that training, they would pay you. Now, granted, I got that on my last job. I got that job. They trained me. I got paid for that training. I didn't get much training. I got a total of a week. And that week consisted of like 4 days. When I got training for my minimum wage, working at a grocery store, package clerk job, I got like, I want to say 2 days, maybe 3 of 8 hours of training. I was basically full-time. I mean, and I'm not even kidding. When I worked there, I would work 8-hour days. I had a 30-minute lunch. Actually, I think I had an hour, to be honest. I can't remember. It's been a while. I mean, it's been literally over 25 years. Or, no. I was 16. It's 24. Check it down. Is it recording still? Yes. Okay. And then when I got in on a cashier, same thing. And I was definitely working, and I was getting, an hour, because there were days where I would take my time off, my hour. I would cross it's like maybe a half a mile tops. I'd go over to the nearby arcade. It was at a putt-putt at a mini golf course. And I'd go in there and I'd dump a bunch of quarters into Gauntlet Legacy. And I'd play until it was time to leave, or until I think it was like $5 worth was gone. And that $5 was approximately an hour's worth of work, if I'm not mistaken. 30 years ago, or 25. 25 years ago, $5 an hour was approximately the minimum wage. Just a little tidbit. So, as much as I'd like to be able to do well in the coming months, I don't really have much for hope. Have fun.